Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up this week, Disney's former CEO, Ron Miller, passes away. Disney's first quarter earnings were released, and we'll tell you what, if anything, was interesting about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that $12,000 tour that Disney announced recently. Plus, the internet is losing its mind again over Will Smith's Genie in the live-action version of Aladdin. And is Disney starting to cancel FastPasses when you cancel your resort reservation? We'll talk about that. All that coming up next. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 1021 for the week of February 12th, 2019. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
His wife, Michaela Porter.
Hi.
The lovely Jackie Gailey.
Hi, guys.
The lovely Corey Martin.
I'm just happy to be here.
And back in the production nook, the sometimes lovely Ryan Clavin.
Hello, Ryan Clavin.
Ryan. It's better than the Lady Clavin.
Yeah,
you want me to do that? It's
Sure.
the Lady Clavin back on the Switch, our associate producer, and of course Craig Williams, our producer, over there overseeing everything like Oz.
Hello.
He's wearing green.
He is wearing green. Yeah. So, welcome to the show, everyone. Hope your week is off to a good start. First, my apologies for not being able to do shows last week at all. I was so sick coming off the cruise. I got a pretty nasty head and chest cold. You can still hear the remnants of it, I think. Today was the first day I woke up and did not feel like my head was stuck in a vice. So, but in spite of that, it was an amazing cruise. Rhino, Charles, and I were on the Wonder out of at a San Juan. And it was my first time really spending time in San Juan. I'd stopped there once on a Royal Caribbean cruise years ago. But I fell in love with Old San Juan. What a beautiful city. What a beautiful city. I actually want to go back and just do Old San Juan.
Yeah, we checked because we were walking down a really very picturesque street, very colorful, and we saw the signs for apartments for rent, and we were like, oh, I wonder how much these are, and found out one of them was an Airbnb, and they were and we're talking Old San Juan right near El Muerto, right on the water down there for 100 and I think it was $125 or
$150 a night.
Yeah, fully furnished. Everything.
Fully furnished and beautiful street. I was like, wow, this is.
I'm like, why can't I stay here?
Some really, yeah, really, really. And I know many of you were sharing on social media. You were excited to hear our review of The Wonder. That review will not be forthcoming. This was kind of a content trip for us. We got travel agent rates on this cruise, and as I have said many, many times, we do not review anything we are not paying full price for, publicly available rate for. So in a case where we're utilizing a travel agent rate to do something like that, that is not something that we are going to review. I will say that we had an amazing time, and if I was reviewing it, the review would have been glowing, but I'm not reviewing it, so I won't say that.
And we do the same thing with media events also. When we're invited, we give you the facts, but we can't really say.
Right. I have very, very strict rules about that. That A, we've got to be upfront about it. B, if we're going to talk about it, it's just in terms of delivering the information necessary, minus commentary on our experience. Even though I just kind of did that.
It's tough to do.
It is tough to do.
It's hard.
You know what? It's hard
for good or bad. I mean, it really is.
It's hard when it's a negative. It's hard. You really want to because especially me. I don't know. But you know what? It's 10 times harder when it's good. when you're having a really good experience and you know it's an authentically good experience, but you really can't give the review you want to give. It's important for us because it is so unusual anymore for internet-based outlets to be upfront about their, when they're covering something, that a lot of times they're being given it for little or no money. And they're not sharing that and making it sound like they just went and had this experience and just went and bought this item. And that drives me insane. It always has. So I want to make sure we're upfront about
We
it.
should give a shout out. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, if you want to watch something that we were given for free and shows us being just in the experience and not actually reviewing it, head over to our YouTube channel that you're currently probably watching this on, or if you're listening, head over there and
Wait
watch
till after our show.
Two Dudes on a Cruise. We have part 1 and part 2 out now. Part 2 is riveting because I didn't realize that Corey and I spent about 4 hours just sitting in the same bar that day.
No.
But I made a little boat out of paper.
Well, I looked at the timestamps on it. That was an hour and a half that
was
you just
nothing
sat
going
there.
on. We're not going to hang out at the
boat.
pool.
No.
Well, I was going to say,
And this is riveting?
Yes.
Okay. We have to have a discussion about the definition of riveting.
I know that Glenn, who was in Concierge, was a fan of the show, I believe.
Yes.
And he was really wonderful. And then our servers, Lido and Ratri, I don't know how to say her name, were also really great.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure we said
Shout
hey to
outs.
them. Yeah.
Okay, a couple things in housekeeping. First and foremost, again, in the interest of full disclosure, this is an advertiser that we now have on the show, our newest, or on the site, I should say. Our newest site supporter is the Magic Candle Company. I got turned on to their candles. Yeah, you can hand it to me. I got turned on to their candles about a month and a half ago and have fallen madly in love with them. And I've spent a lot of money on these candles, but they're really, really good. This is my favorite one right now. It's called African Lodge. I meant to be burning it today, and
I smelled it when it wasn't burning. It still smells really good.
it's amazing. And these, some of their fragrances really fill a room.
I have an idea. Maybe we should do a blind smell test. Get a couple.
That would be awesome.
Go around and say, what is this?
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's a good idea. They're all their candles are inspired by Disney resorts and attractions. So obviously they're not official Disney candles, but they refer to themselves as the most magical scents on Earth. So you can check them out at magiccandlecompany.com. Use the code DisneyInfo when you're checking out, and you get 15% off your order each and every time. That's not a one-time deal. And like I said, we do have a financial relationship with them, so I want to be upfront about that. But the reason we have a financial relationship with them is because I am now obsessed with these candles.
He has them in every room
one
of
is
the
it?
house.
They're in every room of the house. It's African Lodge.
That's high praise coming from Mr. Yankee Candle
Yeah,
himself.
yeah. It's there has not been. I'll be honest. There's not been a candle yet that's been able to pull me away from Yankee until now.
It's impressive.
And what really pushed me over the edge, I really like them, but they also make these. Oh, as I knock everything over, they make these air fresheners, like you would hang over the rearview mirror of your car. And I hadn't had a chance to try them out, and I threw them in my carry-on bag when I went on the cruise. And there was an issue with the one bed, because I ended up getting upgraded to a suite, and I ended up the one bathroom when you first walked in had an odor that was, let's just say, unpleasant. Now maintenance came and fixed it, but the odor lingered. And they have one called Castaway Beach, I think it is. That's the one I was burning in the family room yesterday. And my family room is 800 square feet. Okay, it's a huge room. And this size candle, 14-ounce candle, covered that room. Covered it. So I had that air freshener, and I just stuck it in that bathroom. And every time I walked into the room, every single time I walked into the room, it was there. And it did a beautiful job. So I was like, okay, you know what? These are good. These are good. So magiccandlecompany.com and Disney Info is the code you use for that. And I also want to mention, while we're talking about things we have a financial interest in Patreon. If you are a member, if you are signed up through Patreon to support our show, I've started doing my solo shows again. And just did one last week while I was sick. I sounded like death warmed over, but got another one going up in the next week or so. And Rhino will tell you more about.
Yeah. So Patreon, for those who don't know, is like a crowdfunding site, or that you basically can contribute to help with the everyday cost of running the podcast, and it's can be an ongoing contribution, a one-time contribution, but depending on what you contribute,
Helps me pay for candles.
helps Pete buy candles.
I'm kidding. It does not go for that.
Yeah, we will be letting Steve go by the end of the week.
Excuse me?
For the candle fund. No, but so it'll get you access to different things, and like if you're one of our $10 and up tier supporters, then you will have access to Pete's the solo show he's done, as well as future solo shows as well. And then when we were on the cruise, we did also record some just like a little video here and there, and those will be on there as well. And you kind of get to see behind the scenes stuff and a little more of the unpolished version of the stuff we do.
You keep saying that. Is anything I do unpolished, Rhino?
Well, it's very difficult to get the varnish to wear down on the polish, but
Okay, I don't know what that means, but okay. All right, so thank you for that. Anything else? I just want to also send good wishes out to John and Kevin, who are not here today because they now are sick, and it's not my fault. I didn't get them sick, but it's going around. It's going around. So
'Tis the season.
that's why they're not here. So anything else? We have anything
Yes.
else in housekeeping?
I've got two things real quick. True housekeeping. The first is that a lot of you noticed that Disney Dining Show has not been in our feed for the Walt Disney World show here now for about a month. That's because I've been going back and forth with iTunes about it trying to get on its own feed, which I am happy to say it's finally on its own feed. Haven't pushed the link anywhere yet. Figured I'd wait till a Tuesday show because that's when we'll get the most ears on it. So yeah, if you want
No pun
to
intended.
rush right now to find the Dining Show and subscribe to that feed, just on iTunes, search Disney Dining Show, and you will see it automatically. Or if you just go to the show notes for this, when they're published after the show's over, you will be able to find it there. The second is, again, a lot of you probably already watched Pete's Caribbean Beach Resort review that magically went
cursed.
from 31 minutes on YouTube down to 4 seconds, and I am currently
No idea why.
no idea why. I'm currently battling with YouTube to try to figure it out, but that's a whole other mess of nonsense that I'm not getting into. But it will be back on. In the meantime, we are aware that it's only 4 seconds long. If you do find it somewhere else that we didn't realize that it's still out there in the open, we're working on it, and we'll let y'all know when it's back up, or it will just get re-uploaded completely, and I'm going to burn YouTube headquarters. to
Kathy
the ground.
Whirling probably thinks this is an attack at her.
Yeah, really.
4 seconds, that's it.
So,
That's
all right.
it.
All right, thank you, Craig. Anything else? Going once, going twice. All right. So let's talk about some of the things that are in the news. Sad news. Ron Miller, who was the CEO of Disney up until Michael Eisner took over in the 80s, passed away last week at the age of 85. He was the husband of Diane Disney Miller, Walt's daughter, and he became president of Walt Disney Productions in 1978 and the CEO in 1983. And he was also president of the board of directors at the Disney Family Museum and the owner of the Silverado Vineyards. That's the Disney family wine. I know that when he was ousted when Eisner came in, that it hurt him tremendously. And I know that I remember when we were at Disneyland for the 60th anniversary of Disneyland a few years back, he was there, and I know a number of people were talking about, like, it was the first time he'd been in the park in a very, very long time. Bob Iger released a statement. Everybody at the Walt Disney Company is deeply saddened by the passing of Ron Miller. His life and legacy are inextricably linked with our company and the Disney family because he was such a vital part of both as our CEO and as Walt's son-in-law. Few people had Ron's understanding of our history or a deeper appreciation and respect for our company, and he shared it generously with anyone who wanted to know more. I was fortunate to have known him, even luckier to have called him a friend. My thoughts and prayers are with his family. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he. I was reading more about him because, and apparently Walt asked him to come work for the company after he used to play for the NFL.
Yeah, he was a football player.
Rams,
yeah.
and so he had. I guess there was this hit where he had was knocked unconscious or whatever, and Walt said, "I don't want to be a father to your children. Come work for me."
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, really. That's
You think?
So I think I read more on that. He's actually the 6th employee of Disneyland.
Was he really?
Number 6, yeah. So it's kind of cool.
Wow. And then ended up, and he ended up taking over in a dark. Disney was in the wilderness after Walt died, and it was a few years after Walt's death that he took over as CEO. It was a really, it was, in fairness on his tenure, that the company was a target for a hostile takeover. That's what ended up leading Roy Disney, Walt's nephew, to really champion bringing in Michael Eisner and Frank Wells, because the company was weak and it was being targeted for a hostile takeover. And had that takeover actually succeeded, then the company would have been broken up and sold off in its pieces. So, if it wasn't for Michael Eisner coming and Frank Wells coming in when they did, I don't know that the company would have survived. But he did bring us, Ron Miller brought us Epcot. That was under his tenure.
Not just that, Touchstone Pictures.
Disney
Thank
Channel.
you. Disney Channel. I mean, he was producer on just everything that kids of the 70s love. So stuff like Freaky Friday, The Rescuers, Witch Mountain, Fox and the Hound, that entire late 70s, early 80s era that a lot of people do look at as a lower point, but if you grew up on those movies,
I did. I mean, I was,
great.
I was a kid in those years, and I look back at it as, I have some memories of that stuff, but it's not. The company didn't reach that popular zeitgeist type presence that it did when really starting with The Little Mermaid. And Beauty and the Beast and all the things that were introduced both in film and in the theme parks after Eisner took over. So, but sad. It's another, the old guard that was there with Walt. It's another one gone, and soon they'll all be gone. So, it's in and of itself that's pretty sad. But I mean, it was also sad when his wife died recently, after a fall. So yeah, there's that. Let's talk about the first quarter results. And for those who may be confused by us talking about Disney's first quarter, their first quarter was October to December of last year. They start their fiscal year October 1st, end it September 30th. And really, they took their hit this year because there was no Star Wars film. So they ended up showing revenues that were nearly flat and income that was down 36%. I won't go into all the gritty details. Parks, experiences, and consumer products, which is now all one thing under Bob Chapek, which is increasingly becoming a bad thing in my opinion. 5% growth in revenue, 10% growth in operating income for the first quarter. Direct-to-consumer and international was a 1% decrease in revenues and 223% decrease in operating income for the first quarter. Media networks saw a 7% growth in revenue and a 7% growth in operating income, but it was a studio, Walt Disney Studios, 27% decrease in revenue and a 63% decrease in operating income. And again, that's because they had no Star Wars film in December.
I also think that a lot of their costs they haven't seen gain from is their streaming services. I read a little bit about that. Disney, they were investing a lot into Disney Plus and a lot into the ESPN Plus services, but the amount of people that have signed up for them aren't, obviously Disney Plus is not available yet, so they're not making anything from there. And then ESPN Plus is still kind of, working its way up. So they're putting a lot of money into them and not getting a lot out of it. But that's just because.
Well, what I'm really interested in is what we're going to see in the second and third quarters in particular. We were talking about this recently in regards to, how odd it was that we started January with a free dining offer, which was immediately followed by the Halloween party going on sale. And, this is indicative of, when you're running free dining, you're starting to letting people book it in January.
During the wave.
Right, which is the busiest time of the year for bookings. You're introducing it in January, and you're offering free dining basically from July 5th through the end of September. That is extraordinary and not something we've seen before. Tells us that because Disney does not offer discounts if they don't have to. So this tells me that they are very nervous about what the travel, summer for the last few years has been weak for them. This is telling me that they are very nervous about
there was
those
a
numbers.
lot of availability.
Yeah.
Free dining, more than I've ever seen before.
Oh yeah, no, it was.
You could pretty much get it whenever you wanted.
I booked for my niece. I just booked 2 rooms at Port Orleans. It's closed now. That was the last day you could do it. I did it on Sunday, I think it was. That was the last day you could do it. But I was able to get it at Port Orleans Riverside, 2 rooms.
Yeah.
And it was a really good price.
And
Well, and that was at the very end. So.
And that was at the very end of it, exactly.
And Riverside's one of the most popular moderates. People love Riverside.
Yeah, there was plenty of availability. So that tells me, I wonder, I don't know that we've seen the last of unusual discounts. Yeah. If at the end of the cycle for free dining, the booking cycle for free dining, there was still that much availability. And I'm talking about August. So it'd be very interesting to see.
Well, and the room discount that you can still book, the Sun and Fun still has tons of availability, almost everywhere.
And that's depending on the resort, they're up to 30% off. So I want to see what their numbers, because look, the theme parks, that's the cash cow. That's the cash cow. They do well with the films, but the cash cow is theme parks. So that the first quarter there, 5% growth, 10% growth in operating income, that's good news for them. But I really want to see what happens come April, May when they release second quarter, and then June, July when they release third quarter. So should be very, very interesting. Now let's talk about this, because this, unfortunately, we would have definitely talked about this last week had I not been a petri dish of viral plague. What's that from?
No idea.
Oh, come on, Rhino, you disappointed
I know.
me.
I feel I recognize it when you said it.
Devil Wears Prada.
Oh yes, of course.
Does
How do
anyone
I
have
not?
a sanitary hand wash? She's like, doing the.
I love that movie.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Me too.
It was announced a couple of weeks ago that there is a new tour being offered at Walt Disney World called World of Dreams, and will cost $12,000 for a day.
But
to
there's
do
a
this tour.
bargain if you get it for 2 days.
2 days, it's only $10,000 more.
What a deal.
I know.
$22,000 for a couple of days of tours.
Now, basically, this is you pretty much get to do whatever the hell you want. You get to do whatever you want.
Wouldn't it be more affordable just to put a stack of hundreds in your pocket and just walk around and just broadcast members all day?
Don't give people ideas.
It's like, hey, look, come on, let me in.
And now this is not officially available to be booked directly on the Disney website. Am I correct? It's still not showing up there.
It's not.
Oh, yeah. Most of them you have to call in.
You got to call in. You got to call in for this. They'll give you access to the Cinderella suite, which nobody gets
when
into.
it's available, which is usually.
Yeah.
Backstage access, transportation, ability to dine at just pretty much any of the Disney restaurants. And, you know, I've always considered myself, you know, in that group of people that can afford to do some of the more unusual or extravagant things. Where Disney is concerned, that they have finally come out with something that you price me out of it. There's just no way. There's no way I would ever do that. Now, I've done the VIP tours where you get your own, you know, guest services cast member, and they take you around, and you use the FastPass lines with that, and that usually runs between $400 and $600 an hour. It's always been helpful when I've had like a group, like my family in town, and we don't have a lot of time, and we want to do something like that. That's been really good. But even that, you know, when I've done it, it's been about $400 an hour. You do it for like 8 hours, it's $3,200. You know, you give them a tip, things like that. So even that's very expensive. But this is 3 times that.
My sister used to be a VIP tour guide. Now she works at Golden Oak. So she's dealt with, you know, a lot of guests that have just, you know what, if you're gonna offer it to me, they're gonna pay for it. You know, I mean, some celebrities, some are just, I don't know, just business people.
Well, this is what surprised me when I was doing those VIP tours, and I would talk to the guide about, you know, what, you know, because he's had celebrities. They're very, very careful about not mentioning names or things like that.
Exactly.
And I said, you know, oh, it's cool, they get this for free. And he looked at me and goes, no, they don't. They pay the same thing you do to do this. Mm-hmm. He goes, the only thing we do different, depending on how high profile they are, is we will actually backdoor them into the attractions, not use the FastPass line.
That's what they used to do with Michael. So I used to work with someone years and years ago who used to be a VIP tour guide at Disneyland, and Michael Jackson used to specifically request her, and he would go in the overnight hours sometimes because he couldn't even be seen anywhere.
No.
So the things that these people get to do is just unreal, but they do pay.
But like I'm saying, but at Walt Disney World, so, you know, George Clooney comes and wants to do the park. He's got to pay the same thing that I would pay or you would pay for these VIP tours.
Yeah.
But now they've expanded this program to include pretty much whatever you want.
I mean, I wonder to the extent of what backstage stuff they can see. Like, can they see, like...
My gut feeling, and I could be completely wrong on this, but my gut feeling is what pretty much, as long as it's not a safety issue, whatever you want.
Wait, so it did say it included like
backstage access.
So I thought that was just like that's how they were going to get you from place to place was through backstage. I didn't know it was like, oh, you could go see the workings of like an attraction or something.
But that's the problem. A lot of those are safety safety places where you have to lock out. So like. It's one of those things, like, if they don't have that
if it's possible,
in play,
I think the general idea here is that if it's possible for them to do, they'll do it with this tour. And I think you'll get seating at whatever restaurant you want, whether you have ADRs or not.
How's that going to work? Are they just going to always allocate, like, how many tables at every single restaurant if they have, like...
No, they kick you out.
Get up, peasants.
Yeah, right. Like, what are they going to do?
I wonder if they have to send, like, a wish list before. Because can you imagine being the cast member on this tour? Like, okay, we want, like, how on your toes you'd have to be? Like, anything they say, you have to figure out how to pull it off.
Yeah, if they say Cinderella's Royal Table and they're completely booked, like, what are you supposed to do?
Well, I think one of the reasons this is being offered now is because what I have heard repeatedly from many, many people, and I've said it many times myself, if you want to experience Galaxy's Edge and like actually experience it and not be like in the throngs, you're going to have to do a VIP tour.
Yeah.
It's going to be the only way. And the price in those the regular VIP tours are going to go through the roof. I think $600 an hour is going to be cheap once that opens. But I think this is they're gearing up for that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They're gearing up for that.
I think on April Fool's Day, I'm going to call and say I have 34,000 Disney gift cards that I want to apply.
I feel like they should create a VIP tour specifically for Star Wars. I feel like that would be extremely popular.
They might.
There is a tour for that, but I don't think it's a VIP yet. It's just one of their regular tours. They have like a Star Wars themed day of tours.
No, we're talking about once Galaxy's Edge opens, a
Yeah.
VIP tour just of Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they'll like
Include that.
Yeah, like if they'll tweak
See,
it a
because
little
like
maybe.
with the VIP tours in general, I mean, they're really good. I mean, because they will help get you reservations if you need reservations. You go backstage. They were doing like black suburban SUVs to take you from park to park. But now, the last time I did it, they were using minivans. Take you from park to park, which I told them for what you're paying, go back to the Suburbans. I don't, you're paying that money. You don't want to be in a minivan. You want to be in a Suburban.
well,
Like a Minnie Mouse fan or
a Minnie Mouse van. Yeah, like the minivan service that they offer on property.
I mean, I might want to be in a minivan.
I know. I think,
Like you-
I think they're cute. I'd rather be in a minivan than a
All right.
Suburban any day.
I'm thinking about having a red skin put on my white van with circles cut out of it. I mean,
Oh God.
no.
And then she'll drive around
People will be
property and
very
pick up fares.
confused.
And they you do get backdoored into every theme park and stuff like that, and like it's a great way because we've done it where we've hit all 4 theme parks and hit all the major attractions in each one in one day, and that's a pretty cool way to do it. And like I said, if you've got a group of like 8 or 9 people, 10 people, and you're going to split the cost around, it's not unreasonable considering what you're already spending to be there. Mm-hmm. And that does not include your admission to the park. I should mention that. But it really is at $12,000.
Well, and it's a maximum of 6 people for this one instead of 10 with the regular. So the least you're going to pay is $2,000.
$2,000 a
if you
person.
split it between 6.
But it includes your meals. From what I understand, it does include your meals. So
I better be eating gold for lunch then. Drinking smoothies of silver. I don't know, other expensive things. But
I don't think that would be good
I
for
know
you.
one of the things that we this was an article Jackie put together on the site as part of Vox Populi. You quote somebody on the board saying that if you're doing Victoria and Albert's for dinner as your meal, that's going to cover a good chunk of that. Here's the problem: your meal at V&A is going to take 3 hours. Okay, this is not an in and out experience, so you're missing out on other things you could be doing.
Your fireworks and stuff like that.
That you probably don't want to miss out on.
Yeah.
But I think people thought like I rail on this. I'm not railing against it per se. I mean, doesn't take anything away from the rest of us because they're offering this. It's not like you can't do this attraction now because or during these times or anything like that. Nobody's losing anything because they're doing this. But I'm interested to see if this becomes a thing.
I mean, I think people want it. I do. I think that's why they brought it. People want time is money, and when you're there, and like you said, do you want to spend 3 hours at Victoria and Albert's, or do you want to spend 3 hours going
But
on
I think
half a dozen
if
rides?
you're cool with $12,000, then you're probably all right enough to do this for the week. Because, we hear the stories about people that fly in their private jets and get picked up at the airport by VIP services and come into the parks and, have the guide with them for the entire length of stay, take care of their kids and all that other stuff and do the attractions they want to do. So I think that's who this is aimed at.
You got it. Do it.
Yeah.
$12,000 a day, $10,000 a day is not a big deal if you're flying in to Orlando Executive on your private
It's crazy
jet.
when you start to multiply that like to a 7-day vacation or something. Like it's like $72,000 or something. Or
Yeah.
what would it be?
I mean, you only live once if you've got it.
I'm not gonna hate. Look, if you got an extra 6 spot,
But that's not even
Dispens.
that's not even the 1%. That's not even the 1% now. Now you talk about the 1/10 of 1% that is at a level that can do that. So God bless you if you can do it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I will not be joining you on that particular experience.
If I had the means to do it, I would be there with absolute bells
If I'm
on.
going to spend $12,000 on something, it's not going to be a day at Disney World.
Yeah.
Okay, It's not.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
I'm gonna get
I'll
a
come
car.
with you and tell you all the different things you could have done with that money that you just threw away.
The whole time.
Just crack every few minutes.
It'd be like Bubba and Forrest Gump and shrimp stew.
But if you're gonna
You really
kill,
are at Disney. You could have bought everything.
if you're gonna kill the magic though like that, then you'd have to charge a little bit of money for that.
That's
You can't
not
just do
killing
that
the
for free.
magic. This is a complete
But you're-
ripoff.
But your name on Twitter, you even changed your own name to Craig Williams Kills Magic.
Yes.
So that is your that is your
Craig
purpose.
Williams explains reality.
And he charges for it. And he.
You should change it to that.
He is really and truly the least magical human being I've ever met in my life. And, and that's why these moments are very special, because you have the least magical human being sitting back there and the most magical human being sitting over here. And God, I love you to death. I love you to death. 5 o'clock in the morning at D23, when it's, isn't this magic? And I haven't had my coffee yet. Oh, she's going to die. She's going to die.
Steve didn't even give
I
me a hard
literally
time.
said to her,
Not now.
dial it down to 5. Okay? Dial it down to 5. All right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, because God, do people not have lives?
What?
Where's this going?
Back in December, Entertainment Weekly, the cover of Entertainment Weekly had the, Aladdin, Jasmine, and the Genie from the upcoming Aladdin live-action movie on the cover, and Will Smith, who's playing the Genie, was not blue, and they lost their minds. This was a travesty against humanity. There's the First World War, there's the Holocaust, and then there's this. Now they've released a trailer during the Super Bowl. They released a trailer of the new movie. Right? Was it during the Super Bowl they did it?
Yeah.
No.
No, it was during the Grammys.
Yeah.
The Grammys.
The other night,
Grammys.
yeah.
They released this trailer, this teaser trailer for the movie, and Will Smith was in fact blue. And now it's not the right blue. Or he's I don't know. Craig, you apparently agree with these people. What the hell is the issue?
No, it's not the blue factor. It's the issue is that it's like the worst CGI in the world. I'm not trying to be a snob. I hate bad CGI. Some movies can still be enjoyable with it, but when it looks bad, you completely throw me out of the entire story. And
I didn't think it was that awful. I'm sorry.
gonna fall
think
So go.
Am I the only person that walked away from seeing that trailer and said, "Oh my God, I cannot wait for this to come out"?
I've seen the memes like with him, like the Blue Man Group,
Like from
they're from Comedy
Tobias
Central.
Tobias from
He just blew
Arrested
Yeah.
Development.
But I didn't watch it.
That I laughed at.
That's all I could think about when I saw the pictures online. I was like, you need to carry a tape recorder around with you, buddy. Think about what you said. But I am gonna try. Here's the thing. It's like twofold. Shame on Disney for catering to fans who just complain and complain and complain, and they want it this way. And then when they try and so Disney is appeasing them. Shame on the people who are backing them into a corner, so they can't create something original based on this property and tell the story in a new and interesting way. Instead, they're going to be locked into it. Has to be like what, a shot-for-shot remake of the original? Like, you want a Lion King situation that's like, looking like what? That's not what it's going to happen. But it
Is
kinda
Disney
looks
really
like
doing
that.
this because of the reaction? I
No,
don't know. I'm asking
he
because
said- he said
I
he
know
was
when
blue
Will
already.
Smith tweeted that.
Yeah.
He's like, "I will be blue."
Yeah.
My biggest concern with this film has been from the beginning that Guy Ritchie is directing it. That's not necessarily a good thing in my opinion. But
I
I'm
like some of his other movies. I like the.
Craig's working on getting
He's
up.
struggling with
Yeah,
it.
Sherlock Holmes
He's
movies.
getting
Do
it.
not drag. That is the whole point of getting a freaking Mac, is so it drags and drops to the desktop, and it's just like meh. Goodness gracious!
Just make that screen full screen.
It's
Craig
like
kills
that.
the Mac.
See, you know what I think, you guys? I think that we
there you go, Craig.
There we go.
Oh, right on the boobs.
I think we don't know CGI like Craig knows CGI, because when I look at it, I don't know
Okay,
that.
no, look, honestly, when I watched the trailer, I was like, okay, yeah, that's a little rough. I'll be honest, yeah. But
Well, it's
I
out
don't
of,
care. I'm excited. I love Aladdin. It's one of my all-time favorite Disney animated films. I'm very excited to see this. I love Will Smith. I think Will Smith is hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
I think we wait till it comes out
Right.
and stop losing our crap over a damn trailer or a magazine cover.
You
I'm
only
in
saw
between.
seconds of it, so it's not only is it out of context, but it's also somebody. I also read another article that was saying because he's bigger, because he's Will Smith. We've seen him from when he was a child to now that we're not used to seeing this full-figured Will Smith, and so people are like, "This feels off too."
But I
I'm
have to ask this question. Is nothing else going on in your life that this is really that important?
It's not that he's full figured on it. It looks like they took his face, cut it off, put it on a CGI, like complete computer created Genie, and just slapped it right on the front. It looks absolutely ridiculous. Like, again, I'm not saying the movie
Based
will
on
be
the
bad.
on the millisecond that you actually saw something on screen. I'm saying maybe we should just. I don't know. I walked away excited. I'm excited. Look, and if I go see the movie and I think that's distracting, okay, that'll affect my opinion. But I want to see the movie. Why people get so worked up?
When is it coming out?
Because
May.
they get worked up because we should be getting better than half of an effort. And if they're not ready to show off a full finished product like that, then they shouldn't be showing it off at all. Like, it's at the end of the day, the movie can still be great. Black Panther's a great example. The entire sequence they're fighting with the electromagnetic trains moving backwards, that is awful CGI. They don't look even slightly realistic as two humans fighting each other, but it still is a good movie beyond that one part. But, you know, they also didn't showcase that one section and like, here, this is what we're getting. When you're throwing out something this bad right to begin with, that doesn't leave a lot of hope for something a lot of people care about.
I'm somewhere in between. I am going to wait till the movie comes out till I get my full, complete judgment. But I will say with Craig that I wish it wasn't Will Smith's face. I wish it was just his voice.
No, let him be in the movie. He's putting in all the work. He should get his face in there.
Yeah, but it's just distracting. Like, just in that.
So a cartoon-looking one would be less distracting?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
No, I don't know. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna reserve judgment until we actually see the movie. I thought it was a great trailer. I got excited about the movie, which is what a trailer is supposed to do.
The Prince Ali scene looks awesome.
It really does. I mean,
does.
I'm sorry, the music does get me really excited too. I was like humming the it's doing the slow yeah, and I'm like walking the dog later and I'm realizing like I'm humming that and I'm like, oh, I'm like and when you see it in the theater and it fills like and it's so loud and I'm just like I can't wait to be sitting in a theater and like having like the Prince Ali scene happen. Like hopefully to what we want it to be, but you know.
The biggest complaints is it because it's Will Smith or Will Smith's blue or the color of the blue, or is it because he's not Robin Williams? Or is it just a combination of all of them?
Well, I've heard the blue complaint, I've heard the CGI complaint. I don't think anybody's really complained that it's not Robin Williams. He's unavailable.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So what, too soon?
It shouldn't be. Like, Robin Williams shouldn't be the only person who's attached to the role. I think that Will Smith is going, like, it'll be nice to see him again in something that is kind of more on the comedic side, because that's why we love Will Smith. Nothing against Pursuit of Happiness or any of the other things he did where he wanted to become a serious actor, but we love Will Smith as a comedian. So I think this actually is a role he can fit in well. It's just as long as the people who are doing it actually are putting their full effort into it.
Well, I don't know. Does anybody else agree with him? Has everybody seen the
I
trailer?
haven't seen the trailer yet. I've seen the memes, but they're all...
The problem is the movie already has a history of having a troubled production to begin with. So as soon as people find out about that, it like leads from one thing to another. Because there was this whole thing where they had told them to make the extras and everybody look more ethnic than they were. So the rumor was that the makeup department was essentially putting brown face on people, and then on top of that is Naomi Scott, who I love, and I think she's going to be great as Princess Jasmine, is Indian and not. So she's not technically from this, well, wherever this fantasy world is, but so they were saying that
It's not Middle Eastern.
It's Agrabah.
It started out being that they're just Hollywood being like, well, all these people are interchangeable. And so all that matters is that you go in and it looks like this, And so then on top of that, hearing about the other stuff. So this is just another thing after another thing after another thing is what I feel
People
like.
need to get a different
Is this already a doomed production?
I don't think it's going to do as well as they want them to do, but I'm in the boat with you. Where like I already knew, I don't care. Essentially, I don't really, I want to see Aladdin. I love Aladdin is one of my favorite animated Disney movies. I'm going to see the movie. Yes, do I hope it's amazing? Yes. Do I want a shot-for-shot remake? No. But, I don't know.
When's it actually come out again?
In May. I don't know the exact date.
The only
23rd
thing
or
I
24th.
think could hurt it, and that's my final thought on it, is just like how busy the summer movie lineup currently
The
is, because
Avengers
people
and-
only have so much money to spend, and they can only vote with their money so much. And having Avengers, having Lion King come
Dumbo.
out at some point too. Dumbo's a non-threat. Dumbo's more in like the Pete's Dragon realm, I think, or Mary Poppins in terms of performance. But Aladdin has the potential to be a Beauty and the Beast, but it just depends how busy it is in that time period.
Well, I don't think anything could be worse than Emma Watson as Belle, honestly. But, all right, so let's move on to Rapid Fire. And Steve, we're going to start with you.
Oh gosh, I'm never ready.
I know.
Okay, the Magic Kingdom early morning magic dates have been extended through August. So this is, you get to go into the Magic Kingdom at 7:45 and it runs till 10 a.m. So now select dates through March 3rd through August 6th. For the full dates, you can find it on wdwinfo.com, but there's tons of dates available. You can go in and explore the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Peter Pan's Flight, Princess Fairy Tale Hall, It's a Small World, Mad Tea Party, and Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid. And then you get a breakfast served at, it's like a breakfast buffet at Cosmic Rays. So yes, the dates have been extended through August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. Michaela.
So Kevin from Up is now roaming Discovery Island and Animal Kingdom. She can be seen exploring and heard squawking from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. Guests are invited to pet her feathers as she walks around, but she won't be stopping for posed photos. A plush is also coming soon. It says mid-February to select stores in Animal Kingdom. So I saw a video. It's cute. She walks around and flaps her
And she looks like she's
feathers
gonna fall over.
I know,
I
she
watched-
really
I was
teeters
like,
a
wow,
lot,
it's
but
like, yeah.
no, it looks cool. And I guess you can pet her, which is kind of surprising.
Oh, I
but-
guess some a Brazilian woman ran up and squeezed her
Plucked
in my
her
video,
feathers.
and I could see Kevin. It's funny because Kevin has some facial expressions, so she the eyes can move and she can squawk, and Kevin's trying to step out away from this woman's grasp, and she can't shake her loose, and it was this kind of little funny moment. But
Kevin's a girl?
Kevin is a girl, yeah. Yeah, but I watched it. She's coming out frequently.
I've been
because
saying that for years.
I filmed I filmed the video that's up for it, and she came out 3 or 4 times within an hour. So, and she makes a loop. So if you're looking for her on Discovery Island, she comes out next to the stage where they're doing the Animal Kingdom, the dance party. And she'll roam kind of up by the Tree of Life, up to where the Wilderness Explorers are when you enter the park, and then back down through that way. But then later I was back by the Up show, and she came out by there. So if there's a show, it'll come out over there. But it wanders around. It's cool.
All right. Thank you, Michaela.
That's pretty cute.
Jackie.
So my rapid fire is for the Edison. They've got a special burger every
The
month.
hell is that?
They get
So-
taller and taller. You
That's crazy. It reminds me of the Bloody Marys that they do at some of these places. They just get higher and higher. Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Somebody's
so
high.
this one is going to revolve around cheesy goodness. It says it's the February burger. It's called the Mozzarella Madness Burger, and it's the
Yeah,
Edison.
they're serving this with a joint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mozzarella.
look how
Madness.
high we can get.
Because when I would get high, this is I would make stuff like this. Put some mozzarella sticks
What do I have?
on my burger.
So
That's
all the high
brilliant.
people are
And
going to go to
potato
the Edison.
I like how Craig made the slide say introducing a super healthy burger.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, you can see that's a picture of health right there. So listen to what it has on it. It's the Edison signature blend of sirloin, short rib, and brisket, topped with crispy fried mozzarella and zesty marinara sauce, paired with tater tots.
And then because the 3 mozzarella sticks on top of the burger weren't enough, let's put another one on top of the bun.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's quite insane.
Yeah.
To be real, they're probably going to rip you off and only put 2 mozzarella sticks on there.
Yeah.
Well,
Pair it with a Mick Ultra.
Yeah.
I would not want to watch someone eat that.
I want to eat it.
Okay, you go by yourself.
go ahead.
You eat half of it and save the other half for the next day, maybe.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. Corey.
All right, the dates were announced for the 10th annual Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic. The event will return November 8th and 9th. This event lets guests enjoy food and beverage samples from the resort's restaurants, live entertainment, and informative seminars. This thing grows every single year. I think I've been every year but a couple. And it used to be just in the causeway with seating around, but now it's like nearly lapping the damn pool. So if it's something you want to do,
It's a popular event.
It's all you can eat and drink, and it's for a couple hours. Right now, the unlimited access is $145. That gives you access to all the booths, and including the beer garden. The tickets are available now, but more details are coming.
All right. Thank you, Corey. Rhino.
Okay, mine is about food, and it is some of the sweet treats for February that will be hitting all around Walt Disney World. I think I just noticed a missing word in this article, though. No, this mermaids. First up is this mermaids. It's a mermaid tail cupcake made with a vanilla sponge. That's what you said. I think it meant sponge cake.
No,
but
No, sponge.
It's definitely just sponge.
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it just made with sponge?
Yeah.
You just eat the sponge?
Yeah, sponges are edible. They're not going to kill you. It's just they're not that
sponge
great.
is what they call the. That's what.
Into the
pastry
microphone,
chefs-
dear.
That's what pastry chefs call the cake.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was
So
the.
it's a sponge cake.
I thought it was the thing Elaine
It's
was
just sponge.
searching for in that episode of Seinfeld.
Okay. No, a sponge is what I wash my pans with. This is a sponge cake. If I can eat it, it's a sponge cake. This is now official. You're wrong, I'm right.
Vernacular. Anyway,
Sponge-worthy.
that thing is filled with pineapple compote and topped with coconut buttercream, pearls, all that jazz. So a bunch of cupcakes. There's this Lion King one. There's another flower one. Sorry, I just lost my place.
You can say there's a cupcake and then there's another cupcake.
Well, I'm looking for the non-cupcake.
My
so
own
it's
personal hell is like I'm stuck at Disney and they just keep throwing cupcakes at me.
well, there's one in the Norway Pavilion that's a
That's
Kringla
Emma
Bakery
Watson.
Ogkaff, and it's a Sven's apple cheesecake. That looks pretty good. There is the dessert at the Sunshine Seasons. That was the paint, like the one that I went and tried one day. It's like a peanut butter frosting thing, and then there's this one that is the picture in the thumbnail on YouTube, which is at Amaret's Patisserie, and it's a dome cake design that is a premium Mickey bar. So they're making everything look like Mickey bars now, because I saw there's a Rice Krispie treat that you can get too. But
Okay, this picture has a cupcake on the side of a bench. Like it's been poisoned and it's waiting for a child to come and eat it.
it's the lure cupcake.
It's
Make,
it's
it,
lure.
make it pink, make it blue.
That one's actually
Sleeping
pretty
Beauty.
cute.
I mean, Aurora was kind of like poisoned in a way by the spinning wheel.
Okay.
It works.
Grab your Rooflin cupcakes on a bench near you.
Thank you, Rhino. Greg.
No picture for mine because I forgot what mine was until about 10 minutes after we started this show. But there's a new Coco show coming to Mexico at Epcot. So it's going to involve Mariachi Cobra and dancers. And basically we're getting according to the image, we're getting the Miguel kind of puppet. And they're going to go back to playing Coco songs with it, which, I've seen the I've seen the puppet in action over at Disneyland, and it looks pretty cool. So, love Coco. Gonna check this out when it starts March 6th at the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival.
I'm surprised that they didn't do this already. It seems like this would be a cheap, like, I don't know, you pay the puppeteer, but besides that, you get to include Coco into the land. It seems like an easy...
I'm guessing it's expensive, so they probably... I don't know if they're still currently using it out in Disneyland, but they're probably just moving it around from place to place. Save some money instead of making more of one thing.
I didn't even realize Abby was in here.
I didn't either. She just stood up, and I was like,
She's
"Whoa!"
been
You've
good.
been so good, honey.
She laid literally the entire time.
You mentioned cupcakes.
I had no idea she was in here. She just got groomed, so she's all fluffy and clean.
So pretty.
Yeah, she is. All right, thank you, Craig. All right, before we wrap up, let's have a discussion about this article that got a lot of attention that Jackie wrote up on part of her Vox Populi series. Ever since they went to FastPass Plus and My Disney Experience, there have been rumors that at some point in time, if you made a resort reservation and attached FastPasses to it, because you get the ability to do those before everybody else when you have a resort reservation, that if you canceled that reservation, you would lose those FastPasses. That has not been the case for most of the time, but it appears that may be changing. Am I right? Am I reading this right?
That's what it's. We've had quite a few people on the boards that have said yes, they had fast passes for a certain period of time, and when they canceled their resort reservation, their fast passes were canceled.
And the reason for this is because there has been a loophole that has been used for a while now, called the throwaway room. The throwaway room is, I'm going to book one night at All-Star or the cheapest room. Some people were doing it with campsites at one point. Because that will give them the ability to make these fast passes early, and then they cancel before the cancellation. While they're still within the cancellation period, they cancel it and keep their fast passes. And this is something that's annoyed a lot of people, but it's been a strategy that's been used by a lot of people. And so now it appears as though they're closing that loophole. Is this a good thing, a bad thing?
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think if you cancel your resort and you have no intention on changing your resort to another one, then absolutely you're I don't think you should still have your fast passes. But if you're canceling a resort and if you're canceling your resort and you change it to another one, I mean, you shouldn't have to start over.
We have been doing
and you
this.
shouldn't have to cancel it. You should just be able to modify
I'm
it.
sorry. We've been doing this for 12, 13 years now, right?
Jackie's a bad influence.
People still don't remember. You got to talk into the damn mic.
Well, and then they forget, and then they get real close and loud, and I'm like, whoa.
The other problem I had with this loophole was that it drove up the price of the resorts. Remember that these resort prices are yielded based on occupancy. So the more a hotel fills up, the higher the price on the remaining rooms becomes. And so if you got a bunch of people, doing the throwaway room strategy, and, let's be honest, I think there were a lot of people doing it.
Yeah.
That's screwing around with resort rates. Now, I don't think we have a problem with that this year because, again, we have free dining like pretty much all year. But I think Disney going ahead and killing those fast passes, I think that's a good thing.
So
I do too.
just to clarify, so they were they getting a room at a campsite and then canceling it and then just staying off property, and they were using the booking window, but just
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's.
It
Or, like,
blows my
pass holders that
mind.
live here.
It blows my mind that they weren't already. I would have assumed that if I was making the reservation and I canceled it, that would go away too. I guess I just assumed the two were tied together.
I wonder how much of them not closing that loophole for so long had to do with them wanting to really encourage adoption of My Disney Experience. Because remember, let's go back to when that was first introduced, and the insane pushback they were getting about the magic bands and RFID and how much of my information do you get, and are you tracking me around the parks? We don't hear much about that anymore. The answer is yes. They're doing all of those things they said they weren't going to do. They are capturing your information. They are tracking your movements around the park. They know where you are. They know what the traffic flow is. Everything they said they weren't going to do, they're doing. But now it's what it is.
See, and I had a resort reservation a couple weeks ago that I canceled, and something happened that had never happened before, where it popped up. I did it from my phone, from the My Disney Experience app, and it popped up and said, if you have any FastPasses connected with this reservation, those will be canceled. Are you sure you want to continue? And that is something that hadn't happened before.
Now, is it a matter of is this a matter of closing a loophole, or this is starting to happen right around the time we're seeing free dining offered in January? They're soft. Their booking numbers are soft. Is this a way that they're trying to discourage people canceling these throwaway rooms?
They might be.
You know?
Well, crowds, we heard Bob Iger say with the earnings, what did he tweet? I don't have it in front of me, but he sent a tweet out that said something about the pricing increasing because crowds are an issue. I'll have to pull it up.
Well, that has been their strategy for the last few years.
Yeah.
Is the only way that in their mind, they can control the crowds is to price people out.
Yeah. So you're not going to book and then get all these fast passes and then cancel your room, making us lose money, but still get your fast pass.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. So, hey, people are cheating. That's cheating. Because even as annual pass holders, we only get 30 days.
If it's a loophole that Disney is allowed to exist, it's not cheating. If you are circumventing a system in place to prevent that, yes, that is cheating. But Disney had no policy saying that you couldn't have these fast passes if you canceled your reservation. That's why I wouldn't really crack down on people on the boards talking about it, because there's no policy saying you're not allowed to do that. Disney's allowing it, so therefore it's policy. Now that they are clamping down on that, if someone finds a workaround to get around that, that's different. Then yes, that's cheating. Yeah. But this was not cheating. Disney wasn't saying that you had to voluntarily go and cancel your fast passes if you canceled your resort room. That was built into their system. They didn't close that loophole until recently. But
of course, they're still not canceling dining for you automatically. You have to do that yourself. Because they can charge you the $10 per person if you forget to cancel your dining.
That's true.
But FastPasses don't earn them any money.
That's a good point. Which is why we like having Dreams Unlimited travel agents on the show. So yeah, I'm very interested to see if that's going to. I think that's here to stay. I think that's going to be here to stay.
I'm going to book some fast passes for the next time I have a hotel reservation in advance, so that I can see if it actually does cancel it, because I'm curious.
I think it should be, because like I said, the people that it's penalizing are the ones like the annual pass holders who I can never make a fast pass for anything. 30 days out, you're like, well, I'm never going to ride Mine Train or any of that stuff really, And so it's kind of like, I get it. I just hate that annual pass holders are always the bottom of the barrel, it seems like, unless Disney's short on cash. Then they're like, hey, you're the best now, even though you aren't.
I don't know. I don't know how fair that is. I think they've been doing a lot to plus the AP experience in recent years. I remember, it wasn't all that long ago, the only discount you got with your AP was at the World Disney Store. You weren't getting it at the stores in the Magic Kingdom. You weren't getting it on dining. You weren't getting it anywhere. You were just getting it at the World of Disney Store. It wasn't until the market crashed in 2009 that they started we need to. And then they realized, you know what? If we encourage annual pass holders, they will come spend more money. And if we give them more discounts, people will spend more money. And so I feel like they're starting to do more now
I wish they'd give us a few extra days to make Fastpasses.
I do think our window should be more than
should be a
a
little
regular guest
Just
coming.
a little bit more.
And
Like, I haven't even
maybe
ridden Sleepy Dog Dash.
well,
Like,
maybe
how
shorter
ridiculous is
than
that?
somebody buying a hotel room because they're spending that extra money to
Yeah.
stay at the resort. But if it's somebody who's just buying 5-day tickets, I think we should have a greater
Like
window than they
45
should.
days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Between the two. I agree.
I think there are many people listening and watching right now that would disagree with you on that. But
They can move here. We have another show that will help them do that.
That's right.
You're welcome.
we have a show for everything, and more coming. All right, well, that's going to do it for our show for this week, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. We will see you again next week with another episode of the Diz Unplugged. And as always, stay out of the damn lakes. Have a great week, folks.